So I've been running into some really rude sellers on eBay lately. One day I hop on eBay and there's these two games for $150 or best offer. With the condition of these games, they were only worth in the $120 range. So I thought that's why the seller would have put the or best offer on the games. So I went ahead and offered $120 for the two games. And the seller got triggered. He went on talking about how these games were in gradable condition, how he sells more games than I'll ever own, and that I'm too poor to afford them, so I need to move on. All because I sent him a best offer. He got my eBay username from my offer, went on a post that I was selling, and then attacked me through the messaging. And it's really a shame that there's gotta be people that ruin the hobby like that. You just send them a best offer, which I wasn't even lowballing. I offered what those games would. I looked at the sold listings and I found games that were actually in better condition, and what they sold for a little bit less than what I offered them. They were just a little bit harder to find games. But I didn't lowball the guy at all, and he just straight attacked me and called me poor. And how do you even know my financial status or how many games I own? Through my eBay user ID. And as I'll be traveling to the States soon, I really hope that this guy was just some sort of keyboard warrior and that people aren't really like this in person in the States. I've also had some other interesting encounters, but I'll save those for another day. This episode is going to be continuing the huge lot of 34 games I have, and it's going to be the fourth and final video in this lot. So let's check out what games I was able to afford for the collection today. And the first game we have up is Bomberman. Bomberman was developed and published by Hudson Soft and released for the NES in 1987. Bomberman is a maze action game. This game is different than most games because it actually gets easier the further you make it in the game. When you start the game, you can only lay a single bomb. The bomb has a very small blast radius. It makes it hard to defeat enemies. Each level has a hidden power-up card. These cards allow you to lay more bombs, have a bigger blast area, and my favorite card, which allows you to remote detonate a bomb. Once you have the remote detonator, the game is easy. You just lay bombs and wait for an enemy to get close enough and set it off. There is also a power-up that allows you to walk through walls. There are 8 different enemies throughout the game. Each enemy does different things, so you need to learn what they do to avoid getting hit by them. The story of Bomberman is that he's a robot underground. If he makes it to the surface of the earth, he heard he can become a human. There are 50 levels you'll need to clear to make that happen. Each level has an exit door that you must find to reach the next level. If you don't make it to the exit before the timer runs out, you'll get attacked by a bunch of fast-moving enemies and die. The music is the same in each level, but that didn't really bother me. The music only changes when you find a power-up card in each level. The controls are good, the gameplay is fun classic Bomberman, and it's a game worth having in your collection. I'll come back to this game later on and make it to the surface. And Bomberman is game number 39 for the NES Complete in Box Quest. Next up on the list is Videomation. Videomation was developed by Western Technologies and published by Toy Headquarters. It released for the NES in 1991. Videomation is not advertised as a game, but as a drawing and animation system. Simply translated, it's a version of Paint for your NES. The game is pretty straightforward. You can draw lines, squares, circles, and add colors to things you draw. There are also stamps you can add and animations. There's a very limited amount of stamps and animations, so it doesn't add much value to the game. If you don't like your drawing, you can erase it and start over. I'm always for console gaming, but the Paint program is the best on the computer with the mouse. The other problem with the game is you can't save your progress. If I feel like drawing a picture on a screen, I'll stick with Microsoft Paint. Videomation is game number 40 for the collection. Next up on the list is Dragon Power. Dragon Power was developed by Toho and published by Bandai. It released for the NES in 1988. Dragon Power was a Dragon Ball game in Japan, but they took the Dragon Ball references out of it when it came to North America. The game is a mess. It starts out with a girl named Nora wanting to take a trip. So you set off as Goku and search for crystal balls. There are multiple stories going on with different characters. Nora gets kidnapped. You have to help a turtle to the sea. Nora says there isn't any time to help the turtle, but you do it anyway, and you make some old guy happy enough to give you a magic cloud ride or something. Nora wants that too, but she didn't help the turtle, so the old man asks for a sandwich in exchange for the cloud. It's all over the place. The graphics are bland and boring. The story doesn't make any sense. The controls are sluggish and the music is repetitive. That pretty much sums it up. Dragon Power is game number 41 for the NES Complete in Box Quest. Next up we have a robot game, Magmax. Magmax was developed by Naham Basan and published by FCI. It shot onto store shelves in 1988. Magmax is a horizontal shoot 'em up. Aliens took over the world and you are the brave man to fight back and save the human race. You start off in a ship and work your way down the level with enemies flying at you and shooting at you. Along the way you can find parts of a robot. When you run into these parts, they become part of your armor. Eventually you turn into a full-size robot. If you get hit by an enemy, part of your armor falls off. If you get hit after losing all your armor, you die. After 3 deaths, it's game over. The controls in the game are good. It would be better if the ship moved faster. The visuals are crisp but simple. There isn't a lot of detail. Despite the game having these good things going for it, the gameplay just isn't that fun. It feels repetitive and gets boring quick. The worst part is when you play through all the levels, there is no ending or reward. The game just loops back to the first level. With the story of saving the Earth from an alien, you should have a proper ending. Magmax is game number 42 for the NES Complete in Box Quest. Next up we have Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible was developed by Konami and published by Ultra. It released on the NES in 1990. Mission Impossible is an action-adventure spy game. Your mission is to rescue Dr. O that has been taken by the Sinister Seven. You play the game from a top-down view. You go through the levels searching for clues and switches. The levels are long and loaded with enemies. When I first started playing, I almost immediately got a game over. That's because unless an enemy attacks you, you cannot attack them or you'll be taken by a police helicopter. You can switch between 3 agents. Each agent has their own abilities and their own life bar. One agent has a gun, one a boomerang, and the other punches as their main weapon. They also have secondary weapons that are limited. Once all 3 of your agents are captured or die, it's game over. You'll have to find passes and codes to get through each level. Sometimes when you talk to people for clues, they'll tell you that you've been caught and you get rushed by a bunch of enemies. If you get a game over and restart the level, the locations change up of where the clues are and where you can get caught, leaving you on your toes the whole time. The graphics are great, the music is what you'd expect, and the controls are good as well. The game is challenging and you will have to play the levels over and over before you can pass them, unless you cheat. Even cheating could be hard because the items change locations where you can find them in each game. There is a password system, but you will always start at the beginning of the level. Mission Impossible is hard and a game that requires patience, but it's a good game and one I'll come back to again. Mission Impossible is game number 43 for the collection. Next up we have Bad Dudes. Bad Dudes. Bad Dudes was developed and published by Data East and released for the NES in 1990. Bad Dudes is a beat-em-up game ported from an arcade. The president gets kidnapped and you must see if you're a bad enough dude to save him. You choose from 2 characters to take on the mission. When you start the mission, you're flooded with different types of ninjas attacking you. I am gonna stuff a potato up that exhaust. Broom, broom, broom! The graphics are good, but the sprites glitch bad, making it hard to see what's really going on. Your punches and kicks have to be perfectly timed as well. Too far or too close to an enemy will miss them. And if you're too close and brush the enemy, you take damage. Some enemies drop health, but you can easily die trying to pick it up on some levels. Other enemies drop weapons you can use like knives or nunchucks that increase your hit damage. Getting hit and draining your health is a guarantee in this game. It's near impossible to avoid every enemy. The music in the game is good. The controls are good as well. The gameplay is mediocre and there are much better beat 'em ups on the NES. Bad Dudes is an okay game, but it's nothing great. And Bad Dudes is game number 44 for the collection. And the last game we have to review for the lot is Deja Vu. Deja Vu was developed by ICOM and published by Kimco. It released for the NES in 1990. Deja Vu is a point-and-click adventure game. You are Ace Harding and you wake up in a bathroom stall with amnesia. You find dried blood on yourself and you must solve puzzles and figure out who you are and what's going on. You have multiple windows that allow you to examine things, take things, open doors, and move from one area to the next. You'll need to find keys in drawers and pockets to unlock doors to advance. The music in the game is limited in variety but matches the gameplay well. I was surprised to find a lot of humor in the game while exploring. For example, you open a toilet seat and you're relieved to find it was empty. The visuals are good, but there's only one picture to look at a time. The controls are good as well. It's just moving a mouse around, pointing at things, and selecting them. The cursor moves rather slow though, so it makes parts of the game drag on. Like you can't go through a door without opening it first. If you make a wrong move, you can end up dying. Fortunately, you start back where you left off. I've never dug into a game like this, Princess Tomato, or Uninvited before, but I found the gameplay to be interesting and fun. It's discovering games like this that make the NES Complete-in-Box Quest fun. A 400-pound woman that I feel I should recognize. Yeah, I recognize her from a mile away. I'll come back to this game and do a full playthrough of it. And Deja Vu is game number 45 for the NES Complete-in-Box Quest. So when I first started the NES Complete-in-Box Quest, I was moving games off the shelf so we could keep track of exactly where we were with the collection on YouTube. But since then, I've just got too many games to move the ones that we haven't covered yet off the shelf. I think maybe eventually I'll catch up to the collection, but the collection is just growing way faster than I can produce these videos. So there is going to be a lot more games on the shelf that we haven't covered yet. With how old these games are and being in their original cardboard and everything, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to move them just for a YouTube video. With that being said, let's get these games on the shelf. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe. I'll be completing the entire NES library, complete in box, right here on this show. Also, make sure to leave a thumbs up for Bomberman. Until next time, I'm Wayne, and thanks for watching.